and for some more perspective on how important Colorado is and how these candidates are working this state. We check in now with Richard Moeller, who is Assistant Professor of Political Science at Metro State. Professor Moeller, thank you so much for coming on board.
Thanks for having me.
So, I mean, you heard both of these candidates in town today, and very impressive how much attention Colorado is getting. You know, Lou was mentioning we might see somebody here every week until the election. Why are people taking us so seriously finally?
Well, we're a purple state. You know, 1/3 of us are Democrats, 1/3 Republicans, and 1/3 independents. I mean, 9 electoral votes doesn't seem like a lot, but it really does when you look at the Electoral College map and how close it's been in the last few elections.
Richard, does this financial situation that the country's going through now, is this a big blow to the McCain campaign?
Well, both sides are trying to spin this to kind of fit with their own agenda of what's going on and the way the country is moving. I think McCain's going to try to pose himself as the maverick on this issue and say, I've got better ideas of what we should do, radical ideas perhaps, that I think many Americans might find optimistic and encouraging. And Obama's going to do pretty much the same thing, saying this is kind of the Bush administration's policy of how they treat the average person, and look what has happened with these big corporations kind of not paying attention to what's going on in America, and now they're falling apart, and we might have 1,000 banks going bankrupt in the next few months.
Now, Professor Moeller, one of the things that Sarah Palin tried to do today, very interesting, she just basically wanted to say how she was going to operate as vice president, and that she was going to focus on energy issues, cleaning up government, and improving support for families with special needs children. Is this what she has to do now as she goes around and stumps, identify what her role is going to be, and not only in this campaign but in the White House?
Yeah, I think so, because, the experience issue is always coming up, both for Senator Obama and now for Governor Palin. And I think what she's trying to do is say, hey, I'm not going to be president, I'm not running for president, but what I'm doing is I've got these issues that I'm really good at. I know how to take on the oil companies, and I have an interest in special needs kids. And I think she's trying to, make sure that she's saying, I know, in a sense, I don't have a lot of experience, without actually saying that, and that hopefully for her would put her in a position to kind of be viewed as not on the same level as Obama. He's running for president. She's only going to be the vice president.
Professor, in your mind to date, has she been able to answer all the critics in her appearances and her conversations? Well,
nobody ever is. I think she's trying to handle it as well as she can. And the Charles Gibson, I think, interview showed a lot of her empty spots where she's not really able to kind of, without being kind of prepared, speaking on an issue very well. And when she's caught off guard, you see that, she is off guard. And so I think she's trying, and I think a lot of things are going to be coming out. I mean, both sides have gone, this is just incredible what's happened when she was announced. It came out of kind of left field. And I think a lot of people were scrambling on both sides trying to figure out what's good about her and what's bad about her. So she's trying, and I think that's the vice presidential kind of classification that she's using now when she's running. I think is part of that plan.
Very interesting that the last time Obama was here, and especially around the DNC, all people could refer to him as was a rock star, and how everything was surrounding. I believe that Sarah Palin, with these last 2 visits here in Colorado, has taken that mantle and wearing it extremely well from what I'm hearing from the crowds that are coming out there. They're so thrilled. They cannot get enough of this person. I know, and I heard you say that earlier. It's so true. I mean, here's somebody that was picked, and when she was first picked, everybody thought, okay, this is a female candidate. How interesting. But you know what it is? It's the base. The base is rejuvenated again, something that McCain was not touching with the base, the party, especially, evangelical Christians and kind of, the NRA types and people kind of on the right of the political spectrum. And she's really been able to kind of say, hey, come back home. I'm part of that group, and I will kind of work with John McCain, and he won't be that much of a maverick, if you kind of get my drift. And I think that's what really is the key here, is that she's able to, fortify the base, and you see that coming out of places like Colorado Springs, for example, where, McCain was looked at kind of dubiously, and, Rush Limbaugh is kind of making fun of him, and now the base has come home, and I think that's part of the rock star appeal for her.
Professor Moeller, we got about 20 seconds. Which way is the state leaning, in your opinion?
Oh, gosh. I can't answer that. You know, I've always said Obama looks like he's got an edge here, but I don't know. It's really going to be a tough call. It's going to be probably one of these 48 to 51s or something like that.
Interesting.